Okay, so the next scandal was relating to IRS audits against the Clinton enemies. So here's an article from Newsmax, which basically just entitles it, IRS official admits Clinton enemies were audited. An official with the Internal Revenue Service has admitted that legal opponents of former President Bill Clinton were singled out for tax audits, according to documents that were made public this week. So continuing the article here, you can see that anybody who messed with the Clintons, they would send the IRS after them to audit them. And look towards the bottom of this article where it discloses who some of these people are. Some of the ladies that accused him of sexual assault and rape, he sent the IRS after them to audit them. Jennifer Flowers, Liz Warden Grayson, sexual assault accusers Paula Jones and Juanita Broderick, and fired White House travel officer Billy Dale. Remember what we were talking about earlier about them firing the travel staff? That was done illegally. They had to bring them all back. Well, then he sent the IRS after the head of the travel staff to make his life miserable. In this article here, it continues, Fox News Channel analyst Bill O'Reilly, a frequent critic of Bill and Hillary Clinton, has also pointed out how the IRS has repeatedly audited him. Talk about an abuse of presidential power. Anybody who either says you sexually assaulted me or anything critical about the president or his wife, he sends the IRS after you to audit you. This really happened, and you can check it out online. Okay, we'll continue. Okay, there's only a couple more here. I promise. It's not going to take too much longer. Believe me, I could have made this hours long because there's so many scandals and controversies surrounding this family that I couldn't actually get it all in. It would be just too long. It's mind-boggling. So I'm going to cover just a couple more and then end the video. Maybe I'll do a part two. But we move in here to, this is the last year the Clintons are in office. Okay, so this is 2000. And many people know this already, but some people don't, and it's just disgusting what happened here. I'll post an article on the screen here. This is from the Los Angeles Times entitled, Clintons began taking White House property a year ago. President Clinton and his wife started shipping White House furniture to the Clintons' newly purchased home in New York more than a year ago, despite questions at the time by the White House chief usher about whether they were entitled to remove these items. Okay, so this next article here is from ABC News and entitled, Clintons Return White House Furniture. So former President Clinton and his wife, Senator Hillary Rodham Clinton, now she's the senator for some unknown reason. That was another scandal in and of itself. But have sent $28,000 worth of household goods back to Washington after questions arose whether the items were intended as personal gifts or donations to the White House. We have been informed that it is being shipped back, said the National Park Service, and is ready to receive it and take possession of it and take custody of it. Jim McDaniel, the National Park Service liaison to the White House, said Wednesday. The property is being returned to government custody until such time that the issues can be resolved. It may well turn out that the property is rightly the personal property of the Clintons, giving back after they were criticized for taking $190,000 worth of china, flatware, rugs, televisions, sofas, and other gifts with them when they left. The Clintons announced last week that they would pay for $86,000 worth of gifts, or nearly half the amount. Their latest decision to send back $28,000 in gifts brings to $114,000 the value of items the Clintons have either decided to pay for or return. Yeah, you heard that right. In their last year in the White House, they steal White House furniture, rugs, dishes, paintings, and ship it to their personal home. Who does this? Who are these people? I mean, I don't think any of us would even fathom. It would be like staying at a hotel, waking up the next morning, and then stealing the television before you checked out. Except this is the White House, and this is the President and First Lady. And I think of all the scandals we just talked about, this one actually, even though it may seem de minimis to some people, I think it's one of the most important because it goes to show you the character, or lack thereof, of this couple. Who would steal furniture from the White House? So I just wanted to make sure everybody knew that actually happened, and you can pull up these articles online as well for yourself. Okay, we'll get one more and then I'll close out this video. So this will be the last scandal for this video, as if we don't have enough. But this scandal was literally on the very last day that President Clinton was in office. And it's known as Pardongate. I'll pull up a couple of articles here so we can get a handle on it. But this is from the American Spectator. An area of Clinton scandals at their most blatant. For years, the liberal media have tried to defend almost every Clinton scandal. One of the few exceptions was Pardongate. During his 8 years in office, President Clinton granted 450 pardons and commutations. 39% of them were granted in his last day in office. He signed 140 pardons and 36 commutations. Most Americans were appalled by these disgraceful pardons. Many Democrats, from President Carter to Senator Schumer, refused to defend the pardon of Mark Rich. And we'll get to Mark Rich in a second. But as the article continues, after about a month after leaving office, President Clinton was getting so much heat and backlash from the pardoning of Mark Rich, who we'll talk about in a second, that he actually wrote an op-ed in the paper. And he says, the suggestion that I granted the pardons because Mr. Rich's former wife, Denise, made political contributions and contributed to the Clinton Library Foundation is utterly false. There was absolutely no quid pro quo. The article continues, it's remarkable that he admits that Denise Rich donated money and then he pretends it isn't connected to the pardon. She was no ordinary contributor. Denise donated $1 million to Democratic campaigns, including Hillary Clinton's 2000 Senate campaign, and she also gave $450,000 to Bill Clinton's presidential library. And in another article here, we can see that Hillary's brother, Hugh Rodham, was paid $200,000 to get a commutation for a drug dealer, Carlos Vignali, and another $200,000 to get a pardon for Glenn Braswell, who committed fraud. Both Bill and Hillary claimed they didn't know anything about the pardon. He was forced to immediately return the $400,000. Okay, there are tons of other pardons to talk about, including the 16 Puerto Rican terrorists known as FALN, who blew up a bar in New York City, Francis Tavern, killing people, maiming people. They were sent to prison. But in short, Hillary was running for Senate in 2000, and New York City has a big Puerto Rican population, and they were basically clamoring for these terrorists to be pardoned from jail. Hillary wanted to get the Puerto Rican vote, so she convinced Bill to pardon these 16 terrorists who killed Americans in New York City, so she could get votes. But probably the most appalling of all was this guy Mark Rich, who we talked about. Mark Rich was a money launderer. He was a black market oil dealer. He was dealing with countries like Nigeria and other countries with dictatorships. And most appalling was that he was actually doing oil deals with Iran in 1979 when Iran was holding our American hostages. He's an American citizen doing deals with Iran. He was also doing deals with Cuba when we had a trade embargo. Anyways, he was laundering money. He was avoiding taxes, and an indictment was coming down on him, so he fled the country. He left. His wife was donating to the Clintons. And they were good friends with the Riches. These are the people that the Clintons call friends. He's a fugitive from law and actually on the FBI's 10 most wanted people in America. He fled the country. On Clinton's last day as president, he pardoned Mark Rich. That pretty much sums everything up. I'm going to stop the video here because I just wanted to make the video that related to the scandals up until they left the White House. And believe me, I missed some. I know people are going to be saying, hey, you missed this one and this one. And this. I know. There's just too many. And I also didn't cover the scandals when she was senator and most importantly, when she was Secretary of State. Now, these have been documented extremely well, and I would urge anyone who really wants to get a handle on what pay for play looks like while Hillary was the Secretary of State, watch the documentary Clinton Cash. You can YouTube it, it's free, and that'll give you a good understanding of how the Clintons used their political power to get their friends rich, and in return, those friends would donate hundreds of millions of dollars to the Clinton Foundation. So I urge everybody to watch that documentary, Clinton Cash. As for now, that's it. My brain is fried. These people are criminals. We should all collectively decide never to let this family back into the White House again. There should be a restraining order from this family from getting anywhere within 500 yards of the White House. And I hope, even though this video was crude, it'll give you just a little bit of background that these scandals and conspiracies, especially relating to Hillary, go back 40 years. This isn't anything new. And to think that she could be the president of our country is a scary, scary thought. That's it. Thanks for watching.